They know who I am. Go
All
ahead.
right. Well, good morning, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be here with the Ladies of Justice Midwest Division, right? That's probably not what we're called, but we're Ladies of Justice. And the purpose of our congregating here together is to uplift each other, basically, right? So today we have an opportunity to hear from one of our own. Her name is Miss Latisha Randolph. Miss Latisha Randolph is a servant leader. If you don't know anything else about her, know that she is a servant leader. She's been in this business for 16 years. She's a mom of three, a wife of one, and she loves, loves, loves this business. She turned away from her corporate job in order to be a full-time mom and create the income and part-time hours that she was making full-time at work. And so I'm just excited to be able to introduce her to you today because she is definitely going to impart some wisdom on us. And so I'm going to get out of the way and turn it over to Miss Latisha Randolph.
Yeah.
Y'all give us some love. Woo!
Thank you so much. That's different than me just introducing myself, although you could. It's nice for someone else to do it instead. And I would do the same for her. I appreciate you, Mrs. Carnes Bronze, Executive Director. We've been growing up together here in Legal Shield. And I am excited to speak today. I don't know if you all have ever noticed that I do like to talk. So when I get to have like the whole floor, it's exciting for me. And I always try to share the stage if I'm on it with others. But if I get to be on there with the mic and it's just me, I'm happy. I'm a Toastmaster. And listen, you all, I just won first place for the speech contest in the division level. Not division, yeah. Is it division? Yes, Division R here in the Kansas City area. And I'm excited about that. Last year I got second place. And so this year I moved up a little bit. So I'm going on to districts. It'll be the first time ever. So I do like to talk. I highly recommend Toastmasters if anybody is wondering what that is. It's about public speaking and leadership skills. That's what it's all about. And it's super inexpensive. And I write it off because it is personal development. I highly recommend it, no matter what your level of speaking. But let's jump in today. The title of this talk, let's just call it a talk. It's not necessarily a training. Let's just call it a talk. The title of this talk came to me while I was running or talking about or reflecting on my run to senior director and executive director last year, which I'll give you a little bit of history on just for those who may not know that story or have heard of it already. And the title is Make a Move Towards More. Thank you. Make a move towards more. Have you ever been standing somewhere, traveling, and saw something that was way far away, so far away you couldn't quite tell what it was? You couldn't quite see the words on the sign, or you couldn't tell exactly what the image was until you got a little bit closer. Maybe you were halfway there, you're like, oh, that's what that is. Oh, I can see it now. Oh, that's what that says. I can see it now. That is how I felt when I finally started making a move towards more. For those who don't know, when I was growing up in Legal Shield, it's been almost 17 years, like in about 2 months, it'll be 17 years that I've been in this company. And I had a really good sponsor. Like he made sure we made the list. I'm sure it was 100 or more. I remember calling and inviting with him right there by my side. And we were going down the list in person, calling each project. Whatever he said to do, I did it. And we hit director in like the first 3 months. We did our private business reception. We did like my grandma's there. She's still in the books, you all. She will not downgrade or cancel because she thinks something's going to go against me if she gets her membership at a smaller level. And she's like, no, leave it alone. And so we hit director. And the highest I got from there was called Director 25, which is really kind of like senior director. And that happened early 2000s. And we had 36 memberships that month. That was it. And that was years ago. And then I stayed at director all these years until last year. Now, what was I doing between then and now? Well, I was still showing up for the most part. Like I was at conventions for the most part. I was at team trainings for the most part, but I really didn't get serious until about 2014. I just had Michael, who is my youngest child, our pronouns are different when you're married, our youngest child. He is now 7. At the time, he was about 4 months old. And that year before, I made about 600 and something dollars, maybe close to 700, $697, I think, for the year. And it was a big decision. When I started having kids, I was trying to figure out, like, how can I get to convention? How can I get to convention when I have kids? I have to figure, like, all the things you didn't have to figure out before: babysitting, who's going to stay with the kids? Do you take them with you? Do you leave them? Do you get someone to come to the house? Do you bring your hubby with you? Do you leave him? Can he take off work? All of that. And he was so young and I was nursing. I decided to just take him. And it was going to be in Maryland, this particular event. So we went to Rockville, Maryland with Kevin Mack. Coach Fardbell is our upline leader. Kevin Mack was there. He did a great training. I had 2 aunts come with me, one who was in the business and one at the hotel to watch Michael. So I figured it out. What did you say earlier, Pam? She says, they made it work. I made it work. And I was like, all right, I'm here. And that's when I decided to draw like this very first definitive line. Before that 697, the most I'd ever made was about 4,000 something dollars in any year's time. So not a whole lot of money, but I made some. It was great. You know, I knew it worked. I knew they paid you. Nothing bounced like my first paycheck when I went to work in the real world at a school that ended up closing down. None of that bounce check stuff. It always worked. And so I drew that line in the sand and I said, I'm going to get serious. I'm going to do this. I'm going to track my numbers, because that's what we were talking about, tracking. And I'm going to get in Performance Club. That was my first move towards more. Really, the first move was, I'm going to get on a plane with a baby and I'm going to get 2 aunts to come with me. Somehow persuade, they love me. They're my 2 favorite aunts. Persuade them to come with me and watch Michael, and one to come to the meeting or whatever. That was really the first move that I was going to go to this big event, because that's where decisions are made, big decisions. And I said, I'm going to start tracking my numbers and I'm going to be in Performance Club. And I was in and out, like, for those first couple of months. Like, before, maybe I'd done Performance Club, which was called Players Club back then, maybe a couple of months and then out and then nothing forever. And then 1 or 2 months. It was really sporadic. And I remember when I first started that year trying to be in, I'd make it for like 2 months, 3 months, and then I would fall out, and then make it and then fall out. And then so I called Steve Bacon, and Steve Bacon gave me a very crazy scenario to make me say, if you fall out, something will happen to your family, kind of thing. And that like woke me up, and I haven't missed since. This is 83 months now, but that was the first move towards more. After that, for a lot of those years, those first couple of years of like the serious years, these 2014 till now, I was saying things like, and you guys have heard it if you've been around listening to me, I'm going exec. And I was saying it because that's what you're supposed to say. I'm going to do it. And I was talking and I was feeling it and I'm going to do it, but I really didn't mean it. I was just saying it because that's what you're supposed to say. That's what everybody else was saying. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with to continue to say that until someday you really do it, because that's what happened. But I didn't really mean it. Finally, in June of last year, decided to be bold. Okay. So before June, I'd earned a couple of trips and was really like making these moves. And I'll tell you, before I tell you about what happened in June, I decided that I wanted to start earning the trips, and they had made the requirements a little bit more relaxed when Patrick Hodges was in charge of the Performance Club trips. And I was like, man, I could do that. 700 and something premium dollars or whatever it was. I was like, yeah, I could do that, or points. And I earned a trip to Oklahoma. And that was like a little check mark when you start earning stuff, like, oh, Performance Club, check mark. And you're just feeling that success and like, okay, I can do this. Like little things that kind of get you going along the way. It's like, okay, I'm in Performance Club. I'm still in. I remember hitting the 12 months and making a video and jumping up and down and earning that first trip to Oklahoma on our anniversary weekend, baby. We didn't have to pay. And we could have driven from Kansas City to Oklahoma because it's only 5 hours. That's nothing for me and Charles, especially since he would probably drive the whole 5. But we flew because they were paying. It was $600 something, I think, a ticket, which is craziness. But we're like, man, if they're paying, we're flying. So we went to the convention and we got to stay at the Renaissance Hotel. It was like connected to the little thing that you just walk across. It was great. It did, just to be named among the people who won it. That felt so good. That was another move towards more, right? And then I missed, I think it was Jamaica in between. And that was hard. I learned a really hard lesson there. I think some of you've heard that story, where I was really putting my needs before the customer's needs. And I had to learn to shift that and always work towards serving other people instead of serving myself. And I'm not like super selfish necessarily, but I was really pushing for Jamaica for me, not really serving people and getting rewarded for the work, if you get what I'm saying. So I missed that. Then I earned Vegas because I changed the mindset. Then I earned Cabo. And I'm gonna tell you what happened, because I don't know which move you're gonna make. I can't make that decision for you. That's the other thing. I was letting other people make decisions for me, because of what they could see as potential, what maybe I wasn't ready for. And they were just speaking what they could see ahead, but I wasn't. I obviously just kept saying it and not doing it. That's not really helping anybody, right? But I appreciate people seeing where you could be, but I wasn't ready. So it was my decision of what I wanted to do. So you're gonna have to make your own. I won't be making you make a decision necessarily, but I do want you to consider making a move towards more. And that Cabo trip was really impactful because of the associations of the people that were there and them speaking into your life. And the crazy part was a lot of the people that earned that trip that I can remember talking to were ring earners, millionaire club members, all the faves, they're all there. And there were other people, and I was a director. I mean, people are assuming that you're an exec or you're whatever. Like, no, I'm a director. I earned the trip as a director, but it was so great to be there. So me and Charles are hanging out. We're on the boats, on the Dolphins with Randy Wells and Pam Wells and Moida Roberts and Brad Roberts are in our little group with the Dolphin trip. And we're just talking, hanging out with the Spanglers. We're playing Uno and what's that, Phase 10 in the middle of the night in the little hotel. It was great. Of course, Kevin Mack was there. He's one of my favorites. We're talking to him. We're taking pictures and talking to Darnell Self, talking to Justin Peterson, like really having time to see them as humans. That's what really was impactful. They're just regular people like us. And I was like, man, this is so great. So then you get on a trip like that, you're like, I want to get on another one. And so it really, and they were saying like Moira, we're on the bus. I don't think she says her name like that. That's how I say it. Miss Roberts, Moira Roberts, we're on the bus going to the Dolphin trip. And she was like, you could totally hit executive director. I'm gonna check in with you. All you have to do is this, and this. Girl, you can do this. You got this. Like just pouring into you and telling you what you can do because they've done it. And I remember, I think Anita Sarda was on our morning cruise thing that we went on or whatever. And this other lady that was on Moira's team, and just hearing other people tell us that it could be, that it's possible, that you're just like me. You're no different. Like there's no reason why you can't do this too. And all of that poured in over the years. And so last year, after talking, by the way, I almost every single week for at least 15 minutes, almost, not all, I missed a few by my fault. Almost every single week for like at least 15 minutes, I'm talking to Coach Bell, and he's a coach. He will coach you, lead you, guide you, direct you, and just talking about where we can be and really pulling back a lot of mental barriers and things that were stopping me from really moving forward, until finally I said, okay, I'm going to be bold. I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to make this really bold move. And I'm going to tell everybody, it was kind of a bold, safe move. Okay. I'm going to tell everybody in Legal Shield what I'm doing. And instead of going from director to executive director, my belief and what I was comfortable doing was senior director. I said, let me just get here first. Let me just see if I can do this first, just because I had to build my own belief. because it sounded big, like 700. Oh my gosh, or you say you're going to go, you don't get there, you got 300 or 200 premium dollars, and you're like, that's not close enough. So I made this move. I posted a video live, you all. Like, you can't hide. You can edit a video that you post that you just do, and you do it in the background. You say, I don't like that. Let me do it again. But you can't edit live. You can delete it, but you can't edit it. I'm in there live saying, hey, everybody, super scared. You guys don't think I'm ever scared, but I'm smiling, Hey, everybody, let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm really nervous. I just tell people if I'm scared. I'm nervous, but I'm going to tell you what I'm doing. I have never done this before in all my years. I've been director 25. I'm going for senior director. And not only am I telling you this and declaring that I'm going to be this, but I'm going to give you my numbers, and I'm going to post them every single day. And I did almost every single day, and tell you where I'm at. And for those who know, I didn't make it that first month. I got like 279. I didn't make it the second month, but I did go back and do another live. I got like 404. But the third month, we did it. And we did it before the month was over. We got to like 700 and something around the 20 something, like the 21st or 22nd of August. And that made it easier. This is the point I'm making. It made it easier for me to see exec. I couldn't see exec from director, but I saw it from senior director. And then by the end of that month, we made it to 900 and something dollars in premium. And when I hit that mark, I said, okay, well, now that I can see exec, I'm going to go for it. I didn't make it, but I went for it. Hello, write that down. I didn't make it, but I went for it. You always learn something there. And to give credit to April and this group of encouraging women that we've always had these conversations, she said, if anybody wants to do like a little coaching session with me, just let me know. I was raising my hand. I've always loved April. She's just so bold and beautiful, and she looks like me. And I'm like, and she says things that I related to. Yes, I'm raising my hand. Yep, sign me up. I want to coach with April. And we talked, and she told me to build the engine. And this was really important for me, because all those other times of just saying, I'm going, but not really knowing what it was supposed to take to get there. That's not a good idea, to just say things and then not have the plan. So she says, listen, where are you right now? What do you need? How many people are in production? That's just like the honest place of where you're at. And so I told her, and we kind of talked through. She's like, well, you're going to have to build this until you get to this place. Well, building for senior director ended up only being 2 people. Who would have known? It was me, Adria Patterson, and Dr. Evangela Ward Jackson. Our 3 premium dollars got us 900 and something in August that month. I didn't think that's what it was going to be. But that's the other thing when you start making a move towards more, you learn how things can happen, but you don't know if you don't start going toward it. You'll never see what that is over there if you don't get close enough to it. And then the next month, without any delay, we hit executive director for the very first time in all 16 years. It was really exciting, really exciting. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Now, what else sounded scary to me? Because I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions today. It sounded scary. Like, they kept saying, you got to get double-digit recruiting. I'm like, woo, that sounds like a lot. I don't know if I can do that. Double-digit just sounded scary. Until we finally started doing it. I was like, oh, that wasn't so bad. The problem was, in my mind, I thought double-digit was something I was going to have to do by myself. I'm like, I have to recruit, not that you can't, but it's like I have to recruit 10 or more people by myself, double digit. I didn't think about 5 people doing 2 or 10 people doing 1, and you have double digit from that. Like, oh, if I do it with people, it's not so bad. Or senior director by myself. Oh, if I have 2 or 3 people working with me and we all just get a little bit together, we could do this. I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking all by myself. No, with the team. But then if you don't have people that are working at the time, then you got to find the people that want to work. So in September, we recruited, I think I think it was like 14 people. And that was the first time I ever hit double digit. And then April and Coach Bell told me the correlation between double digit recruiting and exec, which is what I was missing these last few months, was not having the double digits. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. We did double digit recruiting, something I didn't ever think I could do, but I only saw it because I was closer. And then, so we hit executive director. We hit it again that next month, and we had double digit recruiting again, hit. And to hit exec, I think it was about 11 of us in production, and a very spread out number, like $41 in premium from one person, 200 and something from another, 100 here, 90 there, 50 here. It was this combination of everybody's goals and everybody's numbers that got us to the 1400. I think we ended up that first time 1400 and something, and that second time coach told me to go for double, so we had like 1800 and like I think 15 recruits. Listen, all this stuff, I'm like, I'm still trying to like be here, like, is this really happening? I don't know if anybody's ever felt like that. We're like, is this what I was afraid of? This is great. The money was great. We're talking, I went from $1,000 a month on average, because really that was just me kind of working by myself. Started hitting during the run, it went from 1,000 to like 2,000 something, 3,000, 4,000, $7,246.77. Yes, I know the cents. Then 5,000 something that one of the other months. Those are bonuses and things. Like, oh my gosh, like everything that we saw that we would see other people doing, it was me. Now listen, I wasn't running against anyone else's numbers though. I always only was competing against myself. It made it so much easier to win because I wasn't going against anybody else. Every year I would try to see where I could go. Now let me tell you, just from making those moves, that first move from 600 and something dollars before in the 2013, that next year I made like 3,000. So that was a great jump for me. So I was excited because I beat my numbers from the year before. And then 3,000 to 8,000 that following year. Woo, I was like, that's the most I've ever made in Legal Shield. I'm excited about my $8,000. Then from 8,000, I did 8,000, about 8,000 again that next year. But then for the very first time, the following year, I hit $13,000. Now, to some people, that may not sound like a lot, but to me, against my own numbers of what I've ever done before, man, we were celebrating over here. I got to 5 figures. I'm a 5-figure earner in Legal Shield. That's what I was saying. I'm like, oh my gosh, 13,000. And then I was like, all right, I got to beat it, even if it's just by $1. And Pam is a witness because she was there when I was trying to beat my own numbers. I don't care about nobody. I'm celebrating everybody else and what they're doing. That's great. But I'm celebrating my moves. I want you to really pay attention to that. I'm not competing against you. I'm my own competition. That's how you always win. 13,000. Then that next year, 14,000. At that time, that was the highest I had ever gotten, 14,400 and something, I think it was. And I was so excited about it. So excited. That's the other thing. We don't always give ourselves credit because we're comparing. You need to give yourself some credit, honey, for what you are doing, what you have done, what you're gonna do. And then that next year, it dropped a bit. It was like 13,000 something. But guess what? Last year, and some of you have already heard it, last year, for the very first time, don't you like to hear that, for the very first time? How many times can we say that? As many times as we choose to make a first time. I'm always celebrating the first time. $30,500 and something. Unbelievable. This was kind of the goal, right? I'm leaving my corporate job so I can do this on my own and make my own money. Now that, to me, $30,000 is real part-time, like full-time income. People make that full-time, like from home, part-time, you all, with kids, climbing on counters, a whole pandemic going on. Oh, it's so exciting. So I'm like, oh my gosh. I could see the $50,000 ring now. I could not see that before because I hadn't made that move. I'm way back here at director, 13,000 a year, that, 50,000. Ugh, that seems so far away. But when you get to 30, when you get to 20. Listen, every week we're looking at our numbers, our team, because Pam knows. We're like, oh, I'm at 20,000 now, you guys. I'm at 25. I'm at whatever. We're like, woo, we're celebrating. Look, let me get my ladies of justice pom pom. Woo, yeah, we're celebrating. And we're just watching these numbers go up. Excuse me. I was like, I can see myself getting the ring. I'm gonna go for it. But none of this happened until I finally started making moves. Even if it's just a little move, you gotta make a move towards more. If you stay here, you can't get anywhere. Like my analogy of driving my car to Maryland, I can't get to Maryland if I'm driving. I can't get to Maryland if I don't get in the car. You gotta like get in the car, pack your stuff, and start driving. And then you gotta turn it on. Then you gotta pull up the plan and drive. And you can't stop or get discouraged along the way. If you miss an exit and all that, you know, the GPS will recalculate for you to get back on the road and keep going. And so that's not the end of my make a move story. So after those 2 months, I missed exec, but we stayed at senior director for a couple of months. It was in December and January and February. It was less than senior director. So I'm back to director. That was kind of like, right? But I knew because I had made those moves, if you've done it once, you can do it again. That's you hear people like Darnell Self say things like this. Do it so you can know that you can do it. So there's not like a full, of course, I felt a little discouraged, and that's why I call my sis Pam or whoever and kind of talk through some things. But I was like, I know that if we did it before, we can do it again because we've done it. So you got to do it so you can see that you can do it so that you can go back and keep moving towards making that the habit, just like I did with Performance Club. It takes that time of building the habit and building that pipeline of production. So in February, March was my best month ever in Legal Shield. We were all running for platinum. I don't know if you all knew that our team with Coach Bell, we hit platinum executive director as a team. We were part of that, me and Pam and Michael Bailey and all these other people. And we were all running, right? And I want to tell you this, and then I'm going to stop talking in a second, but we're all running for platinum. And this guy named Daniel Smith comes on our team. He's on Dr. Evangela Ward Jackson's team. And she is my strongest leg right now. And she works very spare time. I'm talking executive leader. She works 4 or 5 hours a week, you all. She's just very strategic about it. And she's making a few $1,000s working that spare time, part-time. And she's like, I can't believe I'm making all this money doing this little bit of time. That's the power of network marketing and getting people and having that leverage. So this guy named Daniel Smith comes in and he gets it. And so I'm of course, I'm talking to her and him about all the stuff that I didn't learn when I was younger in Legal Shield, how you build your legs and make sure you have distribution in each leg and that you're building deep and all of that stuff we don't have time to talk about. And so he gets it right away. He's already a business owner. He's already a leader. He's already like there. And he was such an inspiration for me. So was Evangela. To know that there are people out there who will come in running because they get the concept. This guy went literally, the production that he did, there was one little glitch. He literally hit executive director in 30 days. I said, here's what we need to do. We need to build these managers. We need to do, and he just listened and we did it, worked together. And some of it, I didn't even have to do anything. He kind of caught on and did it. And we were using Prospect by Legal Shield and third party and 3-way calls and whatever we could do together. While he's doing that, Evangela's running too. So literally, if there wasn't this little glitch about who could sell a membership to who, we would have had 2 executive directors in the same leg last month. And I was so close to being bronze executive director and requalifying executive director, which I hadn't done since like the fall of last year. So I was like, okay, I'm almost back, right? And I'm gonna tell you what happened, and then I'm gonna ask you guys a couple of questions. I got scared. Well, number one, I should have done more sooner, but I got scared on that last day. Every 5 seconds, it felt like another thing came in the chat. Pam is bronze. Michael is bronze. Shakita's exec. Don is exec. They're popping in. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like the last one. although I knew that Evangela she was closer than me. She was on like 100 and something away. I was $997 in the morning of the last day of the month in March. I'm looking at my board. And so I had to make up like 500 and something dollars worth of premium. And that could be scary. Oh my God. I was like, okay. So by then I think I had made it to like $1,114 worth of premium. Or no, not really. No, that's not what happened. It was 997. And I got to 1,002. And then I think I got another 16. So I was at $1,018. And I started freaking out. So I called Steve Bacon because he really gets me back. Coach is really nice. Steve is nice too, but he's a little more hardcore. I'm like, Steve! No, he already knows what's going on because Coach is already talking to him in the background. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm scared. I'm nervous. Oh my God, I'm like the only one left that has to finish hitting exec. And I know Evangela's on her way. So if nothing else, she would hit it. But I'm supposed to be bronze with everybody else. And I was like, I'm like right in the middle of faith and fear. You ever been there? Right in the middle. Like, you have faith, but then you're scared too at the same time. And I was like frozen, like stuck. And he started talking to me. Really, he was preaching. And he said, Latisha, he says, when you doubt, it's an insult to God. You have to believe. And I'm like, okay, I got to believe, right? So I shifted from fear to faith. Thank God for friends who help you do that. And I said, okay, let's go. So I'm like calling everybody. And I don't really like calling people at night on the last day of the month. But I'm like, we got to do this. So then the team is trying to help me get any extra and everybody's doing all this work. We're doing all this stuff. And we still fell short $268 of bronze. But Evangela hit executive director. She hit it. She knocked it out. And I was so excited. And Daniel he should have been executive director. And I'm like, wow, I could see myself as silver. Like, I'm like, every time you make that next move, you can see more. I'm like, I can see myself as silver. That's what I'm going to run for. I'm going to run for silver because we practically hit bronze last month. Oh my gosh, right? But only because I made those moves toward more. So I was talking to Coach Bell yesterday or the day before, and I said, I could see myself as platinum. Ask me that last year. Ask me that the year before. Ask me that 2 years, 3 years, 4 or 5 years ago. I would not have said that. No, not like and mean it or have meant it. But this, I was like, I could see it. Why? Because he hit it. We all did it. So that helps. So by the way, I don't know if you know, but people are watching you and your story is going to be inspirational to them at whatever place you are. There's someone who hasn't done what you've done yet. So you're going to inspire someone. And I'm like, I can see it. It's not as hard as I thought it was. Of course, it takes work, but I'm like, oh, I think I can see that. So let me ask you a couple of questions. I just wanted you to hear that story of making that move towards more and what that does for you. And here's the question that Steve Bacon told me to ask myself when I told him I didn't make it. He says, okay, what did you learn? Such a good question. Because even if you do hit it, you got to hit it again the next month. So you got to keep moving. You got to keep going until you finally get to Maryland. I'm not going to stop. Mom's waiting for me. Aunt Sheila and all my other family, they're waiting for me to get there. I can't stop because I ran out of gas. You got to get some more gas, get some food, take a nap, whatever, and keep going. And then when I get that training the other day, the other piece is after you get to Maryland, you pick that destination, pick the next one, make that next move. So I want to ask you a couple of questions and open up for some chat here for these last 15 to 20 minutes. I want you to be honest about where you are right now. I hope you're taking notes. And let me watch the live here because I want to include you all. I want you to be honest about where you are right now. Just where are you? Like, I don't know what you want or what you wanted in this business or why you got started or what that turned into, but where are you right now? So right now, we did hit senior director. So I'm a senior director right now. My next move is to silver. And that might sound like a big jump, but it's not because I've been exec and I've almost hit bronze. So I'm like, there's no way I could go for anything less than silver when we got that close to bronze. So I'm going to move toward bronze. But where are you right now? Are you an associate, senior associate, manager, senior manager, director, executive director, bronze executive director, bam, right? Where are you? Just write that down. And I want you to think about, really, first question is, what do you want? Because maybe you don't want to be whatever next level yet. That's okay. You don't have to want anything. You don't have to do anything. It's up to you. You get to decide. Because if someone else wants it for you, you're not going to do it. But really, my question is, what do you want? And not necessarily just rank. What do you want out of this business? Like, what is your big goal? I love what Judy Taylor, I think it's Dr. Judy Taylor shared with us not too long ago. The different things that people were going for in the business. Like, one person's like, this pays for my vacation. I just want this so I can pay for the vacation. Because that was something else Steve Bacon helped me with. When I was talking about all this other stuff and acting like, he's like, why haven't you hit exec yet? Because you can if you wanted to. He says, when you want it, you'll get it. When you want something, you got Cabo, you got this, you got that. I'm like, he's right. He says, but if you're happy where you are, then just be happy where you are. Make your $1,000 a month, girl, $1,100 a month as a mom from home with the kids. If that's what you like and that's what you want. I was like, yeah. And so I was celebrating my 14,000, baby. I was feeling good about my 14,000, about my extra $1,000 a month from home, barely working. I mean, spare time, right? What do you want? I was talking to someone the other day, I won't say who. And I think I said something, why don't you think you have it yet? Why don't you think you have reached this next place or whatever? And she started talking about the little cliche stuff we say. It's because I don't have a big enough why. I need a why, and it makes me cry. I said, forget the why. What do you want? Don't fall into that. Yes, we need a why that makes us cry, whatever. It's really, what do you want? She's like, I want this kind of house, and I want to not live paycheck to paycheck. I said, that's what you have to feel. What do you want? Do you want to be like Judy's friend that said they want the vacation and all the stuff? What do you want? It's okay to want what you want. If you want to be, I want to be in Performance Club for 12 months in a row, then you should go for that. But what you really have to figure out is why you're not. What is it that's holding you back? It was a fear of success for me. I was afraid that if I hit these high levels, or like all the stuff that's been happening, if you've been paying attention to anything on my Facebook, all the stuff that's happening for me now is because I finally accepted that it's okay for me to be prosperous and at the top and in the lights and on the stage, because I was pulling back. Because I was afraid of what people were going to say. And I was afraid that I was going to lose friends and family and all the people that say things like, you think you're all that, and all that stuff, because it happened to me several times throughout the years. So I'm holding on to these little things they're saying in my head, these little people saying stuff. And because of that, I was pulling back, like, well, I don't want to make anybody upset, or I don't want to do too much. I don't want to shine too much. When Lisa Nichols says, make them get some sunglasses. Don't stop your light from shining. Let them get some sunglasses. And I started really, all the coaching, all the things that we've heard, really saying, okay, I'm gonna shine. Let's go. Let's shine. What do you want? I want you to write that down. And I want you to make a move towards more. And how do you feel when you hear these things? I want you to just write down your first thought. Ready? Double-digit recruiting. What happens when you hear that for you? Executive director, platinum executive director, millionaire club member, $50,000 ring earner, $100,000 ring earner, $500,000 ring earner. What do you feel when you hear those things, when you put yourself in that place? Fear, faith, maybe? Are you thinking about Darnell South? Are you thinking about Coach Bell? Are you thinking about all the other people like April and that's them, not me? Is that what you feel? Is that what you think? That's how I was. You say those things, I'm thinking of them, not me. I need you to think of you when you hear those things. But in order to get there, you're going to have to make a move. And you might not see it yet, but if you start moving towards it, you'll start to see it. I want you to believe in yourself and know that God only makes 10s. I got that from Coach Bell. He only makes 10s, 10 out of 10. You're not anything less than a 10, honey. I don't care what they say. And don't listen to that crazy guy that does a relationship talk online, whatever forget him. 10, you're a 10. You deserve it. You deserve the best. You deserve success. You can be in those places. You gotta make a move towards more and be okay with the journey. Celebrate every single win, everything that you do to make that move. Every time you take a step, celebrate yourself for being here today. Celebrate yourself for being at the convention. Celebrate yourself for saying, I'm gonna be in Performance Club, or I'm gonna do this next thing, or I'm gonna work with my team. I'm gonna take this call. All the stuff that you do, don't you dare not give yourself credit. It all counts. Now, if you know you can do more and you did it, don't beat yourself up. Just do more. So you know what? And take responsibility. I should have done more. Like last month, I could have got $268 in premium. I've done that by myself several times. Responsibility says I should, this is what I learned. Let me do more. Let me figure this out. Okay. So I gotta stop. I hope that you are encouraged. All my friends on Facebook, please, if you like to make a comment, please put that in. Let's take these last 13 minutes for reflection and feedback. That's Toastmasters too, to hear what you got out of this and what move you're going to make. If any, you could say, no, I'm not going to make moves right now. And that's okay. That's your choice. Don't let people make choices for you. I'm done talking because I do have a 9 o'clock Central. So I talked a long time, but I hope that was inspiring. Let me step back and let's talk. Go ahead, ladies, if you have something.